Memorial and Museum began with a vision from the late Senator John Glenn, who understood the value of telling and sharing the story of our veterans. From the initial view, the architecture impresses upon visitors the importance of what lies within. Seeming to rise organically from the earth, the building itself is a symbol of our nation's veterans and their resilient spirit and unending commitment to making this country stronger. Once inside the museum, visitors embark on a narrative journey, following exhibitions that focus on the servicemen and women and their families. Individual stories and shared experiences are illustrated through personal artifacts, quotes, letters, photographs, and powerful films of veterans telling their unique story in their own words. The National Veterans Memorial and Museum. It's more than a museum. It's the new home of the brave. Plan your visit today.
Hi, good morning. My name is Colonel Retired Bill Butler, and welcome to the National Veterans Museum for our latest virtual rally point. On behalf of our President and CEO, Lieutenant General Mike Ferriter, thank you for joining us and welcome. We've got a great lineup today. So since 2010, the veteran support nonprofit, the GallantFew, has been actively assisting active duty service members in their transition to civilian life and reintegration into American society. What started out as a small nonprofit designed to honor and support Army Rangers has blossomed into a nationwide network of over 20,000 Americans committed to seeing our nation's heroes of all branches thrive in the land they defended. At its core, GallantFew believes in building community, brick by brick, person by person. GallantFew meets veterans where they are in their journey. More than 3,000 veterans have benefited from the GallantFew's programs. But GallantFew has not accomplished its mission alone. It takes a team of teams. And that is what you'll see today during the museum's March Rally Point. Recently retired Army Ranger Major Tony Mayne will introduce you to the GallantFew and a few of the mission support partners that comprise their vast network, to include former Buckeye and Driven Foundation's founder, Roy Hall, GallantFew's executive director, Carl Monger, and best-selling author, J.C. Glick. So without further ado, we're going to get into the program. Thanks for joining us.
We're humbled to be here today. More importantly, we're excited to share with you some great speakers. These folks are veterans and they're patriotic supporters. Together, they want to be part of your team. Everybody who's speaking today is doing so for a purpose. They want to cause action. We want you to go to a website. We want you to join a cause. We want you to be a part of helping connect America to her veterans. GallantFew, we like to say we're America's veterans team, and we're a team by bringing in others to help in our mission of transition and reintegration. VetXpo is a huge part of that. So let's get started. And now we have the opportunity to hear from the Memorial and Museum's President and CEO, Lieutenant General Michael Ferriter. Lieutenant General Ferriter is a servant leader, and he has helped make this Memorial and Museum an absolute hub for veterans and patriotic Americans. From a meeting place to the virtual exhibits, this is our Memorial and Museum.
Well, we're here at the National Veterans Memorial and Museum, and I'm Lieutenant General Mike Ferriter. I know I was just introduced. We're a hub because we see this as a platform, a stabilized platform that allows us to impact, hundreds of thousands to millions of lives through our outreach and our programming. When I first was hired before we opened, you could see the iconic building, stunning arches. And then when you come inside, you'll see 14 alcoves that tell the story of every veteran and also the timeline of the United States. I believe that that was going to be insufficient to our need. And I told the folks who were interviewing me and who had built this in the image and in the ideas of the great Senator John Glenn, I said, there's more need out there. And we can be that hub. We can be that hub through programming like Rally Point, where we bring people in and allow the veterans to have a brunch. We make sure they're not living in a car. We make sure that they have employment. We make sure they're connected, because when veterans are connected, then they're safe. We then had to pivot, and we now do virtual rally points, and we've gone from 100 the first Saturday of the month to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. We're the hub because we also do veteran voices and inspiring stories. And we've done 28 of these kind of virtual events in the last year. But that allows our veterans who are in a vet's home in Tampa or Tacoma, who could never really come here, to be reached and to know that they're a part of something big. We're a hub because we get to connect America to veterans and veterans to America, and to let people know, when you hire a veteran, you bring a veteran on your team got better that day. Absolutely. And so we're thriving. You know, we wrote a little op order, survive and then thrive. And as we go into 2021, things look really good for us and our ability to impact lives across the nation. We're a museum like very few. We're a storytelling museum, and we have 14 alcoves, and each alcove has some number, 7 to 9 veterans who are telling their story. Now, we down selected from 250 to 25 who have compelling stories, and they're Army, Navy, Marine, Coast Guard, Air Force, men, women, from World War II all the way up until today. And the stories that they tell are a nation called. Each alcove has a video box and tells a story. Or Why I Serve, like Lance Corporal Vargas, who his father was a Marine, and he said, if I didn't join the Marines, I'd never be a man in my family. Or Leaving Home, or Taking the Oath of Office. And then there's basic training. And then there's camp life and where we serve around the world. And then combat operations. And then letters to home and coming home. And then those that came home with a flag draped over the coffin. And then transitioning. That story, whether you see us online or you walk through the doors, it's going to speak to you. And we see granddads telling their grandsons, you know, things that the mom turns around and looks at me and says, he's never told anyone that. Or we see brothers and brothers in arms say, Joe came through your museum and he was kind of messed up, but he's doing a lot better because he realized that others have done what he's done. So the power of that telling, and then finally our ability to connect to those who may or may not ever have served, may or may not ever had a veteran in their community. They realize, wow, men and women in America since the earliest times have raised their hands, signed up, and will go and do everything right for the country to keep us all safe. And let me tell you, this is a museum for everybody. You know, our mission pillars are to honor, connect, inspire, and educate. And those are the pathways that apply to everyone. So we want to honor our veterans, their service and sacrifice, and that of their families. And we want to connect America to veterans and veterans to America. We want to inspire everyone as they learn about veterans, military service, and life after service. They see something that these are people who believe in something bigger than themselves. So that selfless service comes from the inspiration. And then finally, educate. And we educate from K through 12 at the Ohio State University, teaching leader certification through Inspired Youth Series. And then we partner with everybody that we possibly can in order to help impact lives through food drives. So if you're doing something that is connecting and impacting lives, we want to partner with you. Well, I want to ask you to get involved with us, and you can make a big difference in your own life as well as someone else's. Some things are simple. Just join as a member. And if you join as a member, then you're helping us to fund our programming and to take care of others. You can be a sponsor if you're a corporate leader. Your sponsorship can power, the run, the 5K run coming up in Memorial Day, the virtual run. We had over 700 people running in 34 states, in Vicenza and in Afghanistan last year. So you can be a sponsor in that way, or you can sponsor programming like our K through 12 virtual field trips. Also, we find that we're almost America's museum in many ways. And through a point of sales campaign, if you're a merchandiser, you can say, add $1 for the National Veterans Memorial and Museum. You can volunteer. And we found that if we can work and telework, you can televolunteer also. And so we are open right now. We're open, we're strong, we're connecting, and we're impacting. So you can volunteer here, come in, or you can volunteer and lend your skills to many of the aspects of the museum as well. So we have this iconic building, and we have these great exhibits in the alcoves for the storytelling side of the journey that every veteran takes. And we also have the timeline from 1775 through today. But we also feature traveling exhibits. And I'm standing in the Mary White Portraits of American Veterans, We the People exhibit, where Mary went around America for 7 years and did a portrait of a veteran from each and every state. And it's just stunning. We had the Bob Hope exhibit downstairs for several months. And it was the first time that it had departed and left its home of the World War II Museum. So, and next we'll have Depicting the Invisible, which talks portraits and photos regarding PTSD and those who've battled and worked their way through it. So we are very fresh all the time. And soon you'll be able to go to our virtual exhibits and feel like you've walked into an exhibit for maybe the 82nd Airborne Division or the Ranger Regiment or a Navy ship where we digitize photos and do interviews. And so those are the kind of things that we see in a very bright future.
Thank you, General Ferriter. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate what you've done and your team has done with the Memorial Museum, making it a spot to come, to visit, to remember and engage, and a hub nationally for all Americans to appreciate the service of their veterans and to become a part of something bigger than themselves. Roy Hall is an Ohioan, played at Ohio State, and was drafted in the 5th round of the 2007 NFL Draft by the Indianapolis Colts. But Roy is defined by the uniform that he wore. He's defined by those Americans that he serves, primarily youth here in Central Ohio. We're excited to have Roy share his message about transition and how what you do is more important than who you think you are.
One of my favorite teammates when I was playing for the Indianapolis Colts was Marvin Harrison. Not because of the 143 catches that he had in 2002, not because he had a Hall of Fame career, and definitely not because his locker just happened to be across from me and he was number 88 and 8's my favorite number. He actually was my favorite player on the Indianapolis Colts because of his sponsorship deal with the Jordan brand. Yes, Michael Jordan sneakers. So all the way back in 2007, it was just kind of getting going for Michael Jordan to be able to start branding football and football cleats. And Marvin Harrison used to get these large boxes of cleats and Jordan apparel. Now, Marvin Harrison was about 6'1", 180 or so pounds. And I stood at 6'3", 235 pounds at the time. And I couldn't really fit his gear, but it was just something about seeing large shipments. When I say large shipments, I mean huge boxes like they looked like tables were coming in full of Michael Jordan gear. And he would pull out these exclusive shoes with the Colts colors on them, on these Jordan sneakers, retro sneaker cleats. And it was just crazy to me to see him get 15, 16 boxes of sneakers that had cleats on them at the same time. Now, I really wish I could fit him. He wore like a size 12 and I wore a size 14. And I just happened to just be so close that I could see him open them. But just unboxing those sneakers and those cleats just made me feel like, okay, I had a ride. But I love when he got those shipments, as silly as it sounds. But you would open the tag on his shoes and he would show us and it would say for Marvin Harrison only, number 88. So you couldn't find these in stores. These were some type of rarity that you had never seen before in your life. And so when he got through going through some of his new gear, he would give the rest of it to the guys on the side. Now, I mentioned I couldn't fit it, but I was able to take some of it and give it to some of my friends, give it to some of my family members, and that was pretty cool. Sometimes that same type of thing happens like right now, like around now. We see little kids do it all the time now, young kids, teenagers. They stand in line for hours at a time to get some type of a retro sneaker, usually some type of Michael Jordan or Kanye West sneaker that usually retails somewhere around $200, and they get on and then they sell it over for $1,500, maybe a week or two later, depending on how popular the sneaker is. Well, why am I telling you that? Well, there's 7.8 billion people in this world, and there's only one of you. You matter. There's only one of you. 7.8 billion people in this world, and only one of you. What's the value on your life? What's the value on one of one? If a pair of Yeezy sneakers or Michael Jordan retro sneakers is valuable enough to multiply it by 10, to multiply it by 15 times over, you pay $200, then someone else pays $1,500. What's the value of your life? It's perfect. It's precious. It's absolutely priceless. You matter. You are one of one. As a matter of fact, the day that you were born is the day that God decided that the universe could not exist without you. I'll say it again. The day that you were born is the day that God decided, the creator of the universe decided that the universe could not exist without you. It was not complete without you in it. It wasn't at its maximum potential without you in it. You are one of one. You matter. You are valuable. 7.8 billion people, you are the only one. There is no one with your exact smile, with your exact personality, with your exact energy and your exact focus and your exact passion and zeal. There's no one with your exact sacrifice. There's no one with your life. You have to be thankful for every single second and every single moment that you are on this earth. You matter. You are one of one. There are 24 hours in a day, 1,440 minutes, 86,040 seconds. I need you to make every one of those seconds count. I need you to stop wasting seconds of your life procrastinating. I need you to stop wasting seconds. When you waste seconds, you also wear down your sense, you wear down your sanity, and you wear down the sacrifice that you have already made for this country. I need you to value every single one of your seconds. I need you to be thankful. There are a lot of things that have been said today, but I need you to be thankful for this moment. I don't know if you know this, but on average, 2 people pass away every single second, but you get a chance to watch this. You get a chance to be here. You get a chance to make a difference. You get a chance to change your life and change your situation right now. You matter. You are one of one. 1 out of 7.8 billion. You are rare. You are priceless. You matter. You are one of one. You can make a difference. You can keep going. You have to use this moment and cherish each one of your moments. 23,000 times people breathe in and breathe out every single day. On average, 23,000 times you'll inhale and you'll exhale. 23,000 times that you don't even have to think about it, that life is just going and being recycled inside and out of you, and you don't have to think about 23,000. I want you to write that number down. Wherever you are, I want you to write and remember that number down. 23,000. See, a lot of you all that have served understand what it's like to hold your breath. And you know what it's like maybe to even choke on a little food, water goes down the wrong pipe, or maybe you have asthma, or maybe you were conditioning and getting in shape and you couldn't catch your breath, and you know how valuable each one of those breaths are. You know how valuable it is. I need you to make each one of your breaths count. I need you to not take this day for granted. And I need you to start, in the foundation of everything that you do in walking in purpose needs to be in being thankful for this moment. Speaking of being thankful, one of the best days of my life was when I had an opportunity to see my uniform for the Indianapolis Colts for the first time. Ooh, I held up that white uniform, number 83. Let me see, Hall. They got my name right. Number 83. I wanted 88, but Marvin Harrison had that. Ooh, this is nice. Ooh, I made it now. Look at the royal blue numbers. Let's go. We here. It wasn't signed in my contract. No, it wasn't signed in my contract. It wasn't having a check. Well, the check was nice too, But it wasn't even that. It was the fact that I got a chance to see my uniform for the very first time. I hadn't even put it on yet. They just had it on a hanger in my locker. I was just excited to see my uniform. I had been visualizing this day my whole life since I was 7 years old, to have a professional jersey with my name on it, the Indianapolis Colts, my family's last name on it. I was so excited. I was pumped up. I probably forgot to put on the rest of the shoulder pads, but I had my jersey in my hand. I had realized my dream, and it came true. So when I put that uniform on Sundays on game day, I felt invincible, right? I felt powerful. I felt confident. I mean, there was literally nothing that could stop me on or off the field when I had on that uniform. Even when I took it off and put it back in my locker, handed it to the trainers to be able to wash, I still knew that the next Sunday I was going to put on my uniform again, and it was going to make me feel invincible again, to feel powerful again, to feel bold again, to be stronger than most again. And every Sunday, I got tied up in that, and I loved it. But it's interesting. The longer I wore that uniform, every weekend that went by, every year that went by, that uniform didn't mean as much to me. It wasn't as valuable as it was the first time or the second time or the third time I put that uniform on. However, I still walked around with the boldness. I still walked around with the confidence, but somehow along the way, I lost my purpose inside of that uniform. See, that uniform got infused with my identity somehow, and I became the uniform. So I attributed, or whenever I needed confidence, I had to think about me as a football player. I had to think about that uniform and what it was doing for me. Because when you have on a uniform, let's be honest, people are waving to you. People are smiling to you, smiling at you. People are asking for autographs. People are letting you go before them in line. People are paying for your dinner, paying for your breakfast. You're getting first-class upgrades just because people know you by your uniform, by what you do. And you get wrapped up in that, thinking that the only value that I have is because of the uniform that I have on. But when you transition away from that uniform, when you finally have to take off the helmet or take off your uniform, suddenly you start to lose yourself. You find yourself in a slowly but surely depressive state. And you start to sit back and wonder, what's going on with my life? Why am I feeling weak? Why am I feeling broken? Why is no one waving at me anymore? Why is nobody acknowledging me anymore? Don't they know what I did for the last 8 to 10 years? Don't they know that I've been playing football since I was a little boy? Don't they know I've sacrificed? Don't they know I've given? I'm sure some of you all can relate. Don't they know what I put on the table? Don't they know what I've given up? People I've lost in my life because I was pursuing my dream. Don't they understand that? But when your uniform gets infused with your identity, you have to get back to walking in purpose. You cannot allow your uniform to get you out of form. I'm going to say it again. You cannot allow your uniform to get you out of form, to get you out of character, to get you away from your original identity of walking in purpose. You cannot allow your uniform to get you out of form. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are. Life is about who you are. Are you still honest? Are you still hardworking? Do you still put in effort? Are you still team oriented? Are you still willing to sacrifice for the benefit of others? And those other people may not even ever be able to repay you. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are. Peyton Manning revolutionized the quarterback position. I mean, he's audible in at the line of scrimmage, calling out Omahas and apples and saying all these random things that have nothing to do with football, but meant something to his team. He revolutionized the sport. But Peyton Manning made the QB position. The QB position didn't make Peyton Manning. I'll say it again. Peyton Manning made and revolutionized the quarterback position. The quarterback position didn't make Peyton Manning. Your uniform didn't make you. The uniform looks good because you were in it. The uniform is awesome and amazing, and people salute you and honor you because you're in it. When you walk into a room, you have the uniform on. You know how many people have wanted to wear that uniform and they couldn't, but you had what it took. And so because you're wearing it, and it leaves you, doesn't necessarily mean that that power and that confidence can't stay with you. The uniform did not make you, you made the uniform. As a matter of fact, Your uniform is just an introduction to the impact that you could have in the universe if you walk in purpose. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Your uniform was just an introduction to the impact that you could make on the entire universe if you walk in purpose. What do I mean by introduction? If you help a person, if you serve a person, and that person serves a person, and that person serves a family, and that family serves a county, and that county serves the state, and that state serves the country, and the country changes the world. You literally could be the reason that the entire world goes from poverty to power. Your decision to walk in purpose, to get outside and forget your uniform, but just serve the way that you served in that uniform. Sacrifice the way that you sacrificed in that uniform. If you just get outside of thinking that I have to have something on my back to make a difference or to walk in purpose, you'll see your real power. Your uniform literally was just an introduction. All those people waving, all those people smiling, all those people feeling free and feeling safe had nothing to do with your uniform. It had everything to do with you, had everything to do with your will, had everything to do with your perseverant nature, had everything to do with your resilience and your ability to put other people first instead of putting yourself. That's what taking off the uniform should do to you. Your superpower is not in cloth. Your superpower is not in the knitting. Your superpower is not in the sewing. Your superpower is in the different type of sewing, of giving, of planting seeds, of helping out, of saving others, using your life to make a difference. I got a date I want you guys to write down. It's a very significant date. January 30th, 2009. January 30th, 2009. And I witnessed something that I feel was so powerful and so impactful. There was a man whose daughter had been kidnapped, and he's going through a lot, and he's frustrated, he's angry. He had a divorce already, and so his wife was reaching out to him, and she's concerned, and there's a lot going on. And he's trying to figure out and work with the authorities on how to get his daughter back. Well, they couldn't figure it out, but he was a skillful individual. In some way, somehow, he made contact with the people who had kidnapped his daughter. I want you to write it down, January 30th, 2009. And he got on the phone with them, and he said, if you're looking for ransom, I can tell you right now, I don't have any money, but I have a very particular set of skills that I've acquired over the course of a lifelong career, skills that make people like me a nightmare for people like you. He said, I have a skill set that makes me a nightmare for people like you. Let's substitute people and drop in the word problems. Over the course of your lifetime, you've acquired a certain set of skills that make you a nightmare for problems like poverty, that make you a nightmare for negative circumstances like homelessness, that make you a nightmare for problems in negative situations like alcoholism or fatherless kids or whatever it may be. You have a specific set of skills, sacrifice, hard work, effort, what it means to be team-oriented, goal-setting, strategizing, all these different things, mechanics. You have all these different skill sets that you can offer to the world, that all of a sudden you become a nightmare to problems. You should want to be a nightmare to problems. You should literally be sitting back and say, I have enough talent and enough gifts on the inside of me. Again, my uniform's on the outside. Enough gifts on the inside of me to make a difference in the walking purpose long term. I told you January 30th, 2009. I did that on purpose because if you know my narrative, I got that from Liam Neeson in the movie Taken. Came out on January 30th, 2009. Either way, you understand my point now, where you can take something in your life from the outside, like a uniform or like a movie, and you could use it to your advantage. You could be inspired by a uniform. Yes, you could be inspired by a football team. Yes, you could be inspired by someone going through something challenging. You could be inspired by a LeBron James or a Tom Brady. You could be inspired by a president. You could be inspired by whatever you want. You could pull something from the outside and you could own it and make it your own to make a difference long-term in the lives of others. All right, I know some of you are like, you know what, this is motivational, this is encouraging. But Roy, I need some steps. What can I do to help me walk in purpose? What can I do to help me be thankful? What can I do that can constantly remind me that I want to win? What are some of the steps? What can I do? What are some of the steps I can take to go to the next level in my life, to get out of this rut, to get unstuck, to figure out a way to walk in power even though I don't have my uniform on, or to figure out a way to not allow my uniform to get infused with my identity? And so I'm going to give you these 3 steps, these 3 things I need you to do, just real quick action steps that you can literally do as soon as you get done watching this. I need you to go to GallantFew.org and fill out the asthma check. I need you to go take care of that right now. I'm literally telling you, this is one of the primary ways that you can start that journey. It's completely confidential. It's just a brief survey to not only tell you where you are right now, but to help you go to where you want to get to, right? We're talking goals, we're talking morals, we're talking your values. It just wants to get a framework to start to build off of. GallantFew.org. Many people will just overlook this. This is the very first step. The very first step. GallantFew is offering hope and purpose and that guidance to any branch of the military, anywhere, any era, any time, any place, all the any's. They're doing it for you all. So go to GallantFew.org. It's an amazing resource. It's an amazing resource that you can use. The other thing that you can do to continue to put you on the journey to walk in purpose, if you're in the Central Ohio area or just around in general, you can go to StayDriven.org. StayDriven.org. That is my nonprofit organization. I'm one of the co-founders, along with former Ohio State defensive back and former Indianapolis Colts defensive back Antonio Smith. And we provide basic human needs to families all around the city, all around the state. Over the last 9 years, we've given away 1.3 million pounds of free food to over 9,500 families. And so we work with kids through leadership. If you have skills building things, if you have skills, people skills, if accounting skills, if you just want to get back and drop off and deliver some boxes to some families in need, StayDriven.org is a great resource for you. And last but not least, if you've enjoyed this presentation with you all today, you can go to RoyHallJr.com to find out more about personal and professional development in your respective fields. It's been an honor to serve you all today. Be bold, be gallant.
Thank you, Roy. You nailed it. I encourage everyone at home to go to the Driven Foundation's social media websites and their webpage at staydriven.org. Just this last month in February, GallantFew conducted an event called Patriot Challenge. It's our annual fitness, veteran advocacy, and fundraiser. We're happy to announce that together with the help of more than 7,500 patriots, we were able to raise more than $450,000 for our transition and reintegration mission. Many of the teams raised funds not only for GallantFew, but their own veteran support initiatives. Please take a look at this video and see the impact of GallantFew and Patriot Challenge. And now we have the opportunity to hear from the founder of GallantFew, Mr. Carl Monger. Much like General Ferriter, Carl is also an Army Ranger. And you'll hear about the importance of an azimuth check. The idea that when you navigate life's transition and reintegration as a veteran back into society, that you need to know where you're starting before you can know where you're going.
Hi, my name is Carl Monger. I'm the Executive Director of GallantFew, and I want to thank you for being part of the National Veteran Memorial Museum event and their monthly rally point. I want to talk to you briefly about staying on azimuth. I'm an Army veteran. You probably figured that out by looking at the background behind me. And I spent a lot of time going through jungles, mountainous areas, and forests at night. And I think every infantryman has experienced doing that. In the old days, before GPS, we had to rely on the good old lensatic compass. And the lensatic compass, if you've never used one before, you should find one and go experiment with it. But especially at night, you have to trust the little glow-in-the-dark dots. You dial in your azimuth, which you have plotted because you know the location that you have to be at, and you follow this azimuth until you get to your location. As you go through the forest at night, what happens? First, you run through a spider web, or there's a great big tree in your way, or there's a rattlesnake, and you have to go around this obstacle so that you can continue your journey. But by going around the obstacle, you've taken yourself off of your azimuth. So you got to try and figure out how to get back on that azimuth. Now, if you're only going maybe 100 meters, being off azimuth 1 or 2 degrees is really not a big deal. But if you're off azimuth for 10,000 meters or 50,000 meters, then you're going to be in a completely different grid square, and the objective that you're trying to reach will be nowhere in sight. That pertains exactly to military transition, because as you go through your transition assistance training, wherever you choose to leave the military, you're given an azimuth. Your azimuth in the form of how to dress, how to pass an interview, how to do LinkedIn, all the benefits that the VA offers you. All of these things are the starting azimuth that you're given. And then you head out from, say, Fort Benning, Georgia, and you go home to Cincinnati, Ohio. And when you get to Ohio, you find out that the things that you were given in terms of transition tools back in Georgia might not be most effective in Ohio. And so you start trying to learn your own way. And as you go immediately on that azimuth now, because it's different, you're off azimuth a couple of degrees. Maybe you have more difficulty getting a job than you thought it would. Again, off azimuth a couple of degrees. Maybe you're not sure what you want to study in school, but you use the GI Bill so that you can pay your rent for a period of time without really further materially advancing your education. Again, you're off azimuth. Maybe you're trying to process some of the experiences that you had in the military, and you consume alcohol, maybe excessively to do that. Again, off azimuth. All those things are the spider webs and the trees and the ditches and the obstacles that happen in nightland navigation, only now they're translated into your transition back to civilian life. So how do you get on azimuth? Well, first I would say you have to know where you are. So you need to do a line in the sand or a benchmark and establish where you are right now today. GallantFew looks at it in 5 functional fitness areas. We say functional fitness because if I say physical fitness to you, you think of how many push-ups you can do, how fast you can run, how far you can carry a rucksack, maybe how many chin-ups you can do. But if I say emotional wellness to you, that's a more nebulous term. It's harder to define wellness as opposed to fitness. So we don't talk in terms of wellness. We talk in terms of fitness. But let's take that concept to emotional health, emotional fitness. Emotional fitness to me implies you can measure it. And if you can measure it, you can improve it. Or you can chart if it starts to decline later on. The way that GallantFew does that is by a self-assessment. 5 statements in 5 functional areas. And those areas are professional, emotional, physical, social, and spiritual. As you assess yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, you'll see statements like, Facebook stresses me out. Social fitness. 1's not at all, 10's a whole bunch. I feel high levels of guilt, emotional fitness. Again, one's not at all, 10's a whole bunch. I need alcohol to have fun. One's not at all, 10's a whole bunch. Once you have assessed yourself in these areas, and it's not good or bad, the way that you rate yourself, it just is a result. Then we look at an area that you may want to improve, and we identify how do we intentionally create a path for improvement in that area. Now we're setting the objective that we want to go to. And as you start moving that direction, whether it's changing a habit that you want to change, whether it's repairing a relationship, or whether it's pursuing a career, the possibilities are endless. As you go down that path, then periodically you pop back in and you take that azimuth check, because you're checking your azimuth. Are you still on azimuth? Has your anger or guilt or other levels increased? Has your ability to feel thanks decreased? And if that happens, now we can start looking at how to address that. In all things, we want to ask, is this going to work for me? When you have a choice in front of you, and a lot of times veterans feel like they don't have a choice because they have post-traumatic stress, because they had a toxic leader, because you name it, there is a reason for you to start to fail in your transition. We want to get rid of all that. We want to say, what do I need to do to make it better? That choice that's in front of you. Every time you enter a restaurant or a bar, you have the choice to order an alcoholic beverage or a non-alcoholic beverage. You may feel that you have to consume alcohol because of things that have happened in the past, but if you can step back and you can say, is this going to work for me? Maybe in a celebratory, safe, and responsible manner, it will. Or maybe you realize that if you have that one drink, then that one is going to turn into 10, and the end of the night is probably going to go badly. So is it going to work for you? Creates the space that you need to be able to make the decision that keep you on azimuth and move you more intentionally towards your objectives. I invite you to take the GallantFew Azimuth Check, azimuthcheck.org. Do a self-assessment. If you are not a veteran, you are welcome to take the Azimuth Check. We will send you an immediate response that has resources that you can use to improve your fitness in those 5 areas of emotional, professional, physical, spiritual, and social. If you're a veteran or active duty, we will take the time to unpack that Azimuth Check assessment with you and help you develop what we call your plan to be more gallant. A plan to be more gallant. If you think about what is gallantry, gallantry is doing the right thing. When you're in the military, you're expected to do the right thing, and you have eyes on you in the form of supervisors or other service members that are around you. When you get into your community, it seems like there is no longer a requirement to do the right thing, because there are a lot of people that don't do the right thing. I hold you to a higher standard. You've proven your dedication, you've proven your responsibility, you've proven your discipline. I want you to hold yourself to that higher standard. If you ever get off path, look at yourself in the mirror and imagine that your squad leader, your team leader, is looking at you, seeing that face in the mirror. What is that squad leader going to tell you that you should do right now in your life as you move forward? If the squad leader is going to tell you what to do, then maybe adopt that advice and start putting it in place. Again, thank you for being part of this event. Thank you to the National Veterans Memorial and Museum for putting this together. And be brave, people.
Thank you, Carl. Our Azimuth Check is for everyone, from patriotic supporters, active duty service members, and veterans. Whether you're in transition or reintegration, whether you think that you may need assistance or you want to help our military, the Azimuth Check is for you. Please go to www.gallantfew.org/Azimuth Check. And now we have the opportunity to hear from J.C. Glick, a combat veteran and best-selling author. JC's written a book. It's called Meditations of an Army Ranger. I read it daily. Listen as JC talks about the importance of a member of the military venturing into society and finding mentors from those who may not look or have the same experience as they do.
Hi, my name is J.C. Glick, and I'm a partner with Padromas Leadership Consulting. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm humbled and honored to be included in a distinguished line of speakers for the National Veteran Memorial Museum event and their monthly rally points and the VetXpo. This is truly an honor and one that I take very seriously, in that veteran transition is not only something that I've gone through, but something that I see as important to our nation's success as we continue to move forward as a nation and integrate a host of amazing Americans who have served their country in both war and peace, and now are looking to serve a nation that is in need of leadership, hard work, dedication, and commitment, things that I know the veteran community has in spades. In 2015, I transitioned after 20 years of service. I was lucky enough to serve in the Ranger Regiment, the Asymmetric Warfare Group, and a host of other organizations. And I'm proud of my service. But I'm also proud of the lessons that I've learned in transition. And when I look back, over the last 5 years, and I think about my journey, it was really set up exactly the way everyone recommends it be set up, right? I was looking at organizations to work with 2 years out, starting to write my first book, and quite honestly, the immediate transition was pretty good. But when people talk about transitions, that's usually the one they talk about. They talk about the one that where you take off the uniform and you put on civilian clothes. And I kind of think that's the second transition. So let me explain what I mean a little bit. I think our first transition, especially for combat veterans, is when you stop deploying. Some people, that's exactly the same time as they get out. And for some people, maybe they were, deploying, and then they went to a position that didn't deploy. 18 months after that first transition of non-deploying, that was kind of my first transition. And that, quite honestly, for me, was the hardest one. I really struggled with purpose. I struggled with meaning. And it kind of helped me decide to make the second transition, which was out of uniform and into civilian clothes. That transition, like I said, I set it up pretty well. And initially, I'd say everything was great. I went in as a partner of a company, a large firm that did leadership and culture consulting. The first book was published. I mean, things went well, and financially, I didn't have any problems. It was a good transition. It was a smart move, and I got to do some really cool stuff. But then that third transition happens, and the third transition is really where you learn all your lessons. You realize that no matter how well you were set up for success, no matter how well you set yourself up for success, there were lessons that needed to be learned, and they needed to be learned by experiencing them. They needed to be learned the same way you learned in the military, right? You learn through adversity, you learn through privation, you learn through hardship. And so I've done a whole bunch of things over the last 5 years, right? So I've been able to do leadership consulting with the NFL, the NBA, Division I sports, as well as Xbox and Microsoft. I've been able to write 2 books. I'm working on my third. I've been able to get involved in the nonprofit world and see what that was like. So I've had a bunch of experiences, and that's less about, hey, look what I've done. That's more about the last 5 years has had a lot of changes for me. Everything from my family life to my work life. I'm doing things in a way that I never anticipated when I first transitioned. So I'd like you to, as you think about this transition for you, I'd like you to think about what you're picturing and what it might become will be very, very different. And I think that's okay. But I did want to pass on a couple of lessons that I've learned. And I'd like to say I learned them the easy way, but I didn't. I learned them the hard way. But I think that they're really, really important as you begin to make your transition to be a veteran. You know, Carl talked about the 5 functional fitness areas. And I think that what you'll find is a lot of what I'm going to tell you about kind of fit nicely into that. And I'm really going to give you 4 recommendations that I think will be helpful as you transition. The first might seem really simple, but it's really not. You need to find a civilian mentor. All right. It is great that we have former military who are mentors, right? I'm very proud that I get to work with the Three Rangers Foundation. I get to work with Merging Vets and Players. I get to work with veterans as they transition and assist them. That said, I also have my own experiences from the military, and I still am learning this new environment that is this kind of the civilian sector. And I think that what I found extremely helpful is having somebody who has been successful in the civilian sector and only been in the civilian sector, because the language that they use, the norms, the folkways and mores that are second nature to them, well, they'll be able to impart to you, because it is a different world. The people think differently, not better, not worse, just differently. Their perceptions are different. Just like, you know, if you ask somebody from an inner city what respect is and how you get it and maintain it, and you ask somebody from rural, you know, farm country, there's probably a different way that you get and earn respect in those 2 locations. That doesn't mean either one's wrong or right. It just means they're different. And being able to understand that world and have an appreciation for the goodness of that world, and somebody who can help you kind of understand what you bring to that world. As a veteran, I can tell you, boy, every veteran out there could be successful in the civilian sector. There's no question in my mind. The capacity that most military people have to solve complex problems in complex environments is unbound. That's hard to explain to civilians. For example, I have a very close friend who basically said, yeah, but in the military, all you guys do is, you know, go kill people. And I said, no, I solve complex problems in complex environments. Oh, and this is somebody who's close to me. Most people don't understand, not because they're dumb, just because they don't understand, because they've never been a part of it. Just like you don't understand 100% their world, and don't pretend to. So having a civilian mentor will help make that transition a little bit easier. It won't eliminate it completely, but it's certainly a huge help. So the second one is, and this one will sound surprising, find a mentor who's younger than you are. One of the things that I realized, and again, it took me years to realize it, in the military, there was always somebody coming in who was younger than me, right? Whatever level I was at, somebody younger was coming in. And whatever level I reached, I had younger people around me all the time. Not only did they push me physically and kept me in good shape, but they pushed me mentally. They forced me to innovate. They forced me to look at things differently. They forced me to be able to explain things in a better way, because I had to. When we get out of the force, we can lose touch. We can lose touch with what's important, what's going on, what are the nuances of today. And you kind of start to miss that ability to innovate and see things, whether that's TikTok, which may or may not have practical use, or the way they look at text messages, or the way they look at AI, or the way they look at VR. Those are important things. And staying in tune with that is really something that I think you have to be able to capitalize on. And I don't think a lot of civilians do this, but I think it's something, because we've been so used to having to adapt to a younger generation. I think it's really good for us if we find those people who are younger and we have them as mentors. And look, mentoring can go both ways, right? A lot of the people that mentor me, I mentor as well. And I think of them as thought partners. But I think that making sure that there's somebody in your circle, in your community that you look to, that you trust, and doesn't see things your way, sees it their way, and is willing to impart that to you. Really, really important. All right, the third one. You got to find your tribe. I don't care if you're an introvert. I don't care if all you want to do is go into the woods and get in your log cabin and not interact with anybody. At some point, after you have transitioned that second time out from uniform to civilian clothes, you're going to want to connect. We spent our careers connecting with others. And I truly believe that we miss it. I'm not a joiner. In fact, as General Ferriter will tell you, I sometimes was very difficult to lead because I wasn't a joiner. But I think as I've gained time and space from the service, I realized I was missing something. And I needed a community. Now, you get to choose your community now, which is a little bit different, right? We didn't choose our community. We came into the 82nd Airborne Division. We were in our unit. That was our circle. We trusted everybody. Everybody trusted us. That's how it worked. You went to the Rangers, whatever your road was. Well, now the good news is you do get to choose your people. The bad news is you got to find them. And that can be a difficult task. There are great organizations that I believe in. Merging Vets and Players is a terrific organization. The GallantFew is a terrific organization. The Three Rangers Foundation. I mean, there's tons of good organizations out there. But I encourage you to kind of find your group. My group has some military, some civilian, some professional athletes. And it's not as big as it was, right? It's a small circle, but I had to find them. And I'm a better partner. I'm a better father, and I'm a better person because I have these people in my life again, and they help me balance. And I think that's really important. They're kind of the folks that inspired you when you served. You still need that inspiration. I mean, as self-driven as you may be, everyone needs a little inspiration. So the fourth and last thing that I can tell you, I think this is something that most veterans get wrong. I don't know, but I would tell you that data will support me on this. You have to stay physically fit. You absolutely have to stay physically fit. And I'm not saying you have to get up at 6 a.m. every morning and go, do a 5-mile run and a 12-mile ruck march and, the obstacle course. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm saying that you absolutely have to stay fit, right? Going for walks, a run, go to the gym, whatever your thing is, you got to exercise. And I know that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't even want to do that anymore. Look, it was part of your life for however long you were in the military. It was an integral part of your life. And now, in the last 5 years, we've learned more about the human brain and its connection to activity, physical activity, right? Socrates talked about it thousands of years ago. He argued, if you're sick, you can't think straight. If you're not feeling well, you can't think well. And his point was, to think well, to have your mind in balance, you have to be fit. Well, guess what? Science has proven that today. Nobody's saying you got to be a triathlete, but we know that there's benefits for those suffering from post-traumatic stress, from those suffering from depression, from those suffering from anxiety, for those people who just want to continue to grow and evolve their empathy, their compassion, their decision-making ability, and their ability to regulate emotion. Even if you don't have an imbalance, we know that you do that better if your body's working. So it was important for what you did to be physically fit in the military. You were the human weapon system of the United States of America. But now you get to be this human system for the United States of America, a human system that moves well and thinks well, with an experience that is unmatched by 99% of the population. Don't throw that away by losing that balance that we know we need in the brain and letting yourself go. All right? And it's easy. And I've seen it happen too many times, anecdotally. And the stats from the VA and from retirees prove it out. We are not staying physically fit. We need to. So look, those are 4 things that may help. They've helped me, and they've been hard lessons to learn. And I don't know that I've got it right. I think that this is a journey that we're all taking, and together, just like we accomplished all the missions that we did when we were in, we did that together. As we move forward in the civilian world as former warriors at heart, but no longer in the profession of arms, we'll accomplish this together too. And we'll figure this out together, and we'll do it together. It takes the same mentality that made us successful in the military. We had loyalty, humility, empathy, and curiosity. Those 4 things, I don't care if you were private or a general, you had those 4 qualities to be successful. You had to. You still got those, and those will continue to make us successful. You will be successful. There's no question in my mind. We'll just all do it together. If you need anything, you can always reach out to me. I want to be there for the veteran community, and I want you to be there for me. I look forward to meeting you all in time. Enjoy your transition. Good luck. If there's anything I can do for you, please reach out. Don't hesitate to. There'll be a way to contact me. I look forward to hearing about your journey. Thank you.
JC, thank you for that timely advice on the need to expand your mentor network outside of where you're comfortable. You have to find your tribe, but your tribe needs to include people that you want to be like and people that can guide you. One of those people is Phil Randazzo, our next presenter. Phil's in insurance, but seeing a need to assist and supplement the Department of Defense Transition Assistance Program, Phil created American Dream U, a program devoted to a service member who has an entrepreneurial spirit. Listen to Phil as he talks about American Dream U and how you can take the next step in your transition mission.
And I love what I get to do, and let's just get it right after. So first off, thanks for the opportunity. Tony, the GallantFew, everyone. I saw the lineup of speakers you guys have for this virtual event. What an amazing group. So I don't know how I got squeezed in. A few things about me. I'm a civilian. I never served in the military. I've had my private foundation, American Dream Youth, since March of 2003. I had a lot of black hair then. Brief history. I was not a good student in high school. My senior year, I had a 1.8 GPA. I was disqualified from playing sports. Devastated me. I went to school to play sports. I had no reason, didn't understand why they had classrooms. I thought they just needed fields and gyms. Went to junior college, ended up going to college, playing sports. I was blessed to play sports. For 1 year, I had multiple injuries and I was out. And then after that, my junior year, I was dating a girl and I got her pregnant because that's what you do when you're still in school and you have no money. And she was the oldest of 8 kids at a very religious family. They went to mass every day. I didn't know church was open on Tuesdays. I thought it was open on Christmas and Easter. So it was a little bit rocky start for me. Got out. I got a great job out of college, 100% commission. I didn't know what that meant, but that means you make no money. Clawed my way through, started my first business a few years after that. I just couldn't focus and couldn't work with others. Focus has always been a struggle for me. That's why I think I struggled a bit in school. And that's where I launched my entrepreneurship career. And it was not a pretty sight. It was very rough go at it, but it got to me where I'm at here today. So what we do here now at American Dream U, we've been at this transition focus since 2013. We've had about 175 events, 17,000 plus live attendees. Last year, due to COVID, we had to pivot to online live workshops. We focus on 3 areas: relationships, wellness, and money. Everything fits into those categories. Relationships. We're talking about relationships through potential employers, through networking with your group to figure out what could be a good fit. Most jobs out there are not posted, or if they're posted, you got to go through some random computer generated thing, reading your resume and doesn't pick up this or that. Very difficult to get a good, meaningful job with just a piece of paper and a resume. LinkedIn, we talk a lot about LinkedIn. And then we get after kind of what's going on at home. What do the relationships look like at home? So for me, I share some of my experiences and we bring in some amazing veterans and also non-veterans, some civilian speakers. But for me, my relationships look briefly like this. I'd come home from work late. I had 3 or 4 energy drinks plus 2 or 3 cups of coffee, was not sleeping well, made a ton of decisions every day. I'd go home and my wife, who was just watching our 3 kids, she's like, "We really appreciate you. I got 3 things you can eat." And in my mind, you guys can judge me for this, I'm thinking, I was coming home. Why isn't dinner on the table? Like, that's how I used to think. And so she would ask me 3 times. And finally, by the 3rd time, I'd be like, just effing put food on the table. I can't make another decision. And so probably around 6 or 7 years ago, I had this eye-opening moment with my relationship. And my wife had this conversation. She said, 90% of the time, you're a great guy, you're a great dad, a great husband. But the 10%, you just come home, you're unpredictable. I don't know what's going to set you off. So that set me on my path to really work on myself so that my relationships would get better. So we talk a lot about that in our EDU live classes and in our workshops. We bring in great speakers that talk about similar situations. So very important. Relationships and who you know is going to get you where you want to go for sure. Let's talk about wellness. All of us have something going on, right? Physical injuries, mental injuries, scars, things from our childhood, programming from our childhood. I don't have wounds from going to war, to being deployed, being in certain situations. I have no experience in that, so I don't want to relate anything that I'm going through. I did play D1 sports, had multiple knee surgeries, shoulder issues, you name it. Back in the days when I played, they would shoot you up with cortisone and send you back out. That was the deal. So I had no idea what the long-term effects is. I just wanted to compete. So my injuries kept me up at night, which if you don't get a good night's sleep, it's really rough. So we talk about well-being. What's your number one self-care habit that you can do that's non-negotiable every day? We got great speakers. We got Marco. Talks about stretching. It's a similar stretch to what David Goggins wrote about in his book, You Can't Hurt Me. So getting all that physical pain out, and then talk about some of our patterns that we grew up with, some of the things that maybe we have to unwind and unprogram. some of this stuff may sound kind of foo-foo, and to be honest with you, 5 or 6 years ago, I'd be making fun of myself if I was watching this video, because that was not me. To be honest, I would come home, have a drink, and just kind of forget about things. If I'm being honest, maybe 2 or 3 drinks. I'd go to bed, I'd suffer, I'd wake up in pain, wake up, and just do it all over again. So we talk a lot about, you know, when you're in pain, it's tough to make difficult decisions. And when you're not in pain, your mind can focus on things that are important to make better decisions. So wellness is just such a critical part, and we all neglect it. Let's talk about money. Money is really important. Is it all about making a ton of money when you get out of the military, or if you're changing careers at this point? You know, there's very little correlation between making a ton of money and happiness. I never believed that until I got to hang out with some incredible speakers with American Dream U, 6 or 7 billionaires, people worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm not saying they all weren't happy, but I saw some very, very successful people that just were not happy people. And so started doing some study. There's a great book called Blue Zones of Happiness. It talks about the correlation between making money and happiness. It's really not there. Now, I'm not saying money's not important. Money allows me to do what I do here at American Dream U. I'm a non-paid employee. I've funded the organization for years, so money is extremely important. So you talk about how to negotiate salaries, how to bring up that conversation when you're looking at a potential job. When you're in the military, you don't negotiate your salary. It's just you go up in rank, and that's what it is. It's published, all that kind of stuff. So you have very little control of it. When you get out, you have more control. So we also talk about finances, like what can you do before you get out of the military to prepare for that financially? I've had about 17 or 1,800 one-on-one conversations, and almost all of them wish they had done something different before they got out, financial-wise. Maybe not have bought that car with that big payment, or a lease, or they got themselves into obligations that they just couldn't make. Now, again, 2020 happened, and civilians were out of work. A lot of civilians were out of work. A lot of small businesses were out of work and closed permanently, a lot of them. So how do you prepare for something like that? So financial is a big issue. It also was a big issue for me personally, going back to the relationships. I would always look at the credit card statement and I'd be like, honey, what are you spending this money on? So money was always a big issue for me too. And I always compared myself financially to everyone else, and that made me sick. So again, this might sound kind of crazy, foo-foo, all that kind of stuff, but these are things that when I have these one-on-one conversations and we talk with soldiers and spouses in a group, Marines, all different branches, it's a human issue. It's a human issue first. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be a part of this. And I appreciate Tony having me in the GallantFew. And so, again, you got a rock star lineup. Like, I can't wait to be sitting there with my journal and pen and taking notes and learning and then putting these things into practice. So I have no one behind this camera to stop it. So I'm going to run around and stop it. But I appreciate it. Again, this is Phil Randazzo, American Dream U. Excited to be with you guys this fall. Take care.
Phil, thank you for being a presenter with us today. For our audience, please go to americandreamu.org. Learn a little bit about the organization. It may be there for you now, or it might be a resource for someone else later. And now we're going to transition from employment-focused resources to education. And we couldn't have anyone better. RJ Jenkins is a curriculum creator for Columbia University's Center for Veteran Transition and Integration. Columbia University has been a leader for decades for service member higher education, whether it be while on active duty or while a veteran. So please take a listen to the curriculum that's available for you and the guidance that Columbia can provide as you make your higher education selection.
Welcome to Columbia University's Center for Veteran Transition and Integration. My name is RJ Jenkins, and I serve as a curriculum designer here at the center, where I help build online tools that promote veteran success in the college classroom. Here at CVTI, we aspire to be a national center of excellence, focused on ensuring that transitioning service members and veterans have access to world-class resources and programming designed to help them maximize their potential, both in higher education settings and also in the civilian workforce. As its name implies, CVTI was born at Columbia University, which has developed one of the most sophisticated and successful programs in the country for service members transitioning from the military into undergraduate and graduate education, the workforce, and civilian life. Columbia is super proud to enroll more veteran students than all other Ivy League schools combined. And we're prouder still that our veterans maintain a graduation rate above 90% and a record of job and graduate school placement that equals Columbia's non-veteran population. At CVTI, we're able to draw on Columbia's rich history and experience serving this population to build tools and programs that facilitate smooth transition for veterans across the country, and to help provide support to colleges, universities, and veteran service organizations who are already doing the good work of promoting veteran success. One of the ways that we help facilitate successful transition for veterans is by building free, open access online tools and programs that provide targeted support for veterans and military-connected students at 3 key moments of educational and professional transition: the college application process, the academic journey through college, and the search for a meaningful civilian career after graduating. Together, our programs and resources help veterans get to, through, and beyond college. For veterans and transitioning service members who are interested in going to college, or for folks who simply think that higher education may be an interesting next step for them, we've created a course called Attaining Higher Education, a comprehensive online curriculum dedicated to helping veterans navigate the college admissions process successfully. Now, the instructors for this course have decades of experience helping veterans and other non-traditional students navigate this process, and so, of course, their insights are invaluable. But participants will also be able to hear directly from other veterans who have navigated the process. Women and men from every branch of the United States Armed Forces who have gone through the process and are prepared to speak candidly about the challenges they faced, some of the best practices they used, and ultimately what it meant to them to transition successfully from military service into the college classroom. In attaining higher education, we want participants to feel like they can approach the process a little bit more efficiently. And our hope is that the course will help remove some of the mystique from the process, make it feel a little more approachable, a little less intimidating. But also by the end of the course, it is our hope that not only will students have a sense of whether or not college is a right next step for them right now, but also they should be in possession of some real tangible tools and resources that can help them get started on the journey right away. And also, they will have made connections with folks, higher education professionals, and especially veteran mentors who will be right behind them every step of the way as they identify, apply to, and hopefully gain admission to a right fit college or university where they can continue to pursue their goals. Now, of course, gaining admission to a right fit college or university isn't the end of the journey, right? Once students get in, they want to succeed, and ultimately they want to walk across that stage and graduate. So we've created a resource to help them do precisely that. University Studies for Student Veterans is an academic support curriculum based on a curriculum taught at Columbia University very successfully for many years, and it's designed to help veterans and military-connected students transition smoothly from military service into higher education settings, but also to give them the tools they need to maximize their academic success in the college classroom. Students who engage in the University Studies curriculum and engage with those resources can expect to walk away with some pretty valuable takeaways. Now, first and foremost, you're going to walk away with dozens of proven strategies for success in college, and we think that's a really good thing. But also, veterans will learn how to identify the unique challenges that they may face when they're transitioning from a military culture to an academic culture. And we talk a lot about how to address those challenges pragmatically and proactively. We'll learn about academic skills, building those foundational academic skills, and learning best academic practices in accordance with scientific and learning research. We'll also learn a little bit about identifying the unique skill set that helped people be successful in the military, and talk about how you might apply those same skills for success in the college classroom. And finally, we talk a lot about co-curricular and curricular resources that are in place, such as academic support services, financial services, health and psychological services that are in place to help students succeed. And we'll discuss a little bit about how to make use of that kind of help if and when you need it. With all of these tools in place, we hope that students who utilize this resource will have a better chance of succeeding in the college classroom and walking across that stage to graduation. Our third set of open access online free resources is a curriculum called Find Your Calling. And it's dedicated to the idea of building interpersonal, intrapersonal, and intellectual character strengths as they relate to making a successful career transition from military service to the civilian workforce or from school to the civilian workforce. Now, as with all of our curricula, this content is grounded in research. It's delivered by folks who are experts in their field, and it's meant to do two things. First, it's meant to help folks create a framework for iterative self-reflection. And the second is it's supposed to develop some pragmatic tools and skills for folks to help them make career choices that better align with their values, their ambitions, and the idea of continued service. So essentially, what these resources are trying to do is help folks answer the question, what do I want to do next? Together, Attaining Higher Education, University Studies for Student Veterans, and Find Your Calling have been utilized by thousands of students and higher education professionals across the country. But what's cool is that these three courses are not the only way that CVTI is providing support for veterans in transition and the professionals who support them. Now, one of the things we were really conscious about as we were building these tools is we wanted to make sure that every lecture and lesson, every video and every instructional asset was built to stand on its own outside of our courses, which means that all of our course content can be utilized outside of the context of our courses. This affords people tremendous flexibility about how to utilize these resources, especially in specific contexts or in specific populations. If you go to the center's website and you visit our video library, you will see all of our open access content available for your viewing and your use. Now, what's so cool about making our material radically available in this way is that it allows people to access exactly what they need when they need it. And it also allows our colleague institutions and our partners and our collaborators to utilize this content freely to build new support programming or to enhance support programming that already exists. We really appreciate the opportunity to come to you through this format and tell you a little bit about our massive open online courses and our video library and share with you about how those resources were built so that they can be utilized in a variety of creative ways. But I also want to be clear that if there's a form of support that you're really interested in, or an intervention you want to build, or a workshop you want to do, and you don't see it covered on our website, or you don't see it included in our resources, reach out to us at cvti@columbia.edu, because some of the coolest and most fun work that we do is building custom-built interventions for colleges, universities, and veteran student organizations across the country. We've done really fun workshops with student veterans on how to transfer from a 2-year to a 4-year college, or how to learn more effectively from a distance given the pandemic, how to build community when we're all learning from a distance and interacting in Zoom world, or even how to identify and manage imposter phenomenon. We've helped veteran resource centers across the country train their frontline student staff on our resources so that they can refer other students to them comfortably and with confidence. And we've even recently started working with some schools on cultural competency initiatives for faculty and staff to help make those places more friendly for veterans and military connected students. So if there's something you've been wanting to do, but you don't have the bandwidth, or you don't necessarily have the resources, or you don't have the technology solutions, reach out to us at cvti@columbia.edu. Maybe you have military connected students who are managing transfer shock. Email us. Maybe you have students in a veteran student organization who want tips with writing a resume. Email us. Maybe you have folks who are getting ready to apply from community college to a 4-year college and they'd like tips on their college admissions essay. Email us, because chances are we can help, or we can get you to someone who can help. those kind of custom built boutique interventions that are high touch and can help a specific population on a specific campus, that's the work we're really enjoying doing. We hope you'll visit our website, veterans.columbia.edu, to learn more about our free online courses, our open access video library, and our more boutique blended services that allow us to work with colleges, universities, and VSOs across the country who want a thought partner in the work of providing support to veterans in transition. If you've seen a tool here that you'd like to start using, or if you think there's a way that we might work together to help you provide support to veterans, we hope that you'll reach out to us at cvti@columbia.edu.
RJ, thank you for that comprehensive look at the offerings from Columbia University Center for Veteran Transition and Integration. We appreciate you being with us today. And next is Adam Stallnacher of Veteran Investment Planning. Why are we talking money? Why did we bring on Adam for today? Because there's a divide. There's a divide between the experiences our civilian counterparts have with the veteran population. And so education is the way that we're going to bridge that gap. We're excited to bring you Adam Stallnacher.
Adam Stallnacher, I graduated from Ohio State in 2001, started off in accounting, found that it was just not a great fit. It wasn't achieving what I was looking for, helping people on a day-to-day basis. So I went into financial planning 10 years ago. And from there, it achieved those goals of being able to help people on a day-to-day basis. And we have now developed a subscription-based financial planning service that we started with civilians. After conversations with you, we developed it for Rangers specifically, and the feedback that we received and the specific nature of how it has helped people has now led us to, create veteran investment planning and bring it out to all branches of the military. This is our retirement roadmap. It's on our website, veteraninvestmentplanning.com, and it kind of gives you the foundation. I like to use illustrations to kind of give you a visual idea of what financial planning is and kind of what our process is. And the foundation of any financial plan is goals. You got to know where you want to go before you start going, right? So if you just are aimlessly going somewhere, and you don't have a plan of where you want to end up, you're probably not going to end up where you want to be, right? What we learned so far dealing with other veterans is that the access to personal financial advice is just not there. You've got your standard, you've got your TSP, you've got your other benefits, but they don't tell you how they all kind of fit together for now and in the future. So basically you've got it, you put money in your TSP, you have no idea what it's for. The goal, you have to have a goal of retirement, right? So how do you know how much you should be saving if you don't know what your goal is to retire? So if you're just putting money in, it's probably not enough. Well, I think when you're active duty, I think you've got a thing you're trying to achieve, right? And all other stuff is not really focused on. And that other stuff is financial planning, because you can really make a huge impact in somebody's life by looking at what they're doing in their 20s. If I could go back and give myself advice in my 20s, was to save more. Save more, get insurance right away, because the changes in life, you can't get that time back. So to get to retirement, you need to save, and to have more success is you need more time. If you have less time, then success is a little bit tougher. When it comes to retirement with veterans, I think learning the second life, basically, civilian life, and figuring out how to then retire a second time at some point, and figuring out what they need to do to get to those steps, and changing some of the behaviors that maybe we had in the past, learning to save more, learning what to save in, how to save, getting financial advice from professionals. What you really want to find if you're going to work with a financial professional is that they're a fiduciary, that they are doing things in your best interests. And what does that mean? Not high commission products, not making decisions to impact me more than you. We want to sit on the same side of the table when it comes to investments, when it comes to planning. That's why you need to know what fees you are being charged, why you're being charged them, and how that impacts your total portfolio. The financial planning industry has evolved over time, where it used to be just about commissions and stock sales and stock prices and those sorts of things. And now it's evolved into planning first, because planning has the most impacts. Somebody will ask me, what should I invest in? Well, what are you trying to achieve? Without knowing what you're trying to achieve, I can't tell you what you should invest in. So financial planning now, as the foundation of a relationship between client and planner, makes the most impact. So I think the next steps would be, for somebody to get started, you got to figure out where you're at. So go to our website, veteraninvestmentplanning.com. Right in the middle is start the initial assessment. Take that assessment, it's 5 to 10 minutes. It gives you a good gauge of where you are and see kind of if you need some help. I think if you're just getting started, the internet is a wealth of knowledge, but there's so much stuff out there. Well, what immediately impacts you? And I think that's where our initial assessment on our website kind of helps you figure out the foundation of where you currently stand, which can be an eye opener. So what we want you to do afterwards is take that offer for that free consultation, because we'll go through all those questions with you. We'll help ease some of the stress that maybe is caused by actually taking the assessment, and kind of give you a few pointers along the way. We created this program so that we could help veterans, and whether it's working with us or not, if we can shoot them in the right direction, make an impact in their lives going forward, it makes an impact in our life at the same time.
Adam, thank you for your candor with a subject that needs to be spoken about with service members and veterans. And now we're going to transition to Boone Cutler. Boone Cutler is a servant leader, a veteran, and the author of the Spartan Pledge. In 2010, Boone Cutler decided that those who fight for our country are warfighters. Warfighters are part of a warfighter family. We should do everything in our power to make sure that no member of our family takes their own life.
I will not take my own life by my own hand until I talk to my battle buddy first.
My mission
is to find a mission to help my warfighter family. I'm Boone Cutler, and I'm the author of the Spartan Pledge. So the Spartan Pledge is a battle drill. It's a plan. It's what to do when you don't know what to do. And it's a promise to say, no matter how bad things get, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to contact you. It's also a promise to do something on behalf of the warfighter community and maintain a mission. Because a warfighter without a mission is a dead warfighter, but a warfighter with a mission is a deadly warfighter. When I told Carl Monger, he's a good friend of mine. He runs an organization called GallantFew. He's a mentor to me. He's an advisor to me. When I told him what me and my buddies were doing, he was like, Boone, I think you got something. I think you really got something here. This is something we should promote. From his networks, guys started taking it one-on-one, guys in groups. And then from there, now Soldier Heart picked it up. He's doing it at concerts. Once Boone told me about the Spartan Pledge, I wanted to promote it in the best way that I know how, what I do. How can I incorporate the Spartan Pledge into music? How can I do that? Every warfighter knows about taking the oath. We take oaths very seriously. Well, why not invite warfighters in the audience to come up on stage and take the Spartan Pledge? So every show that I did, no matter where I went, it's always been part of my show. So far, since this entire journey has started, the most humbling thing I've seen is for someone to say, I want to contribute to this. But when Danny Prince got into the picture, an FDNY firefighter, he had in his possession actual metal from the World Trade Center.
I'd on many trips going to Walter Reed. We met so many different people. One of them was Steve Danluca, and he had introduced me and told me about the Spartan Pledge. And they were telling about how there's 22 vets a day that are committing suicide, and how that's just totally unacceptable.
I mean, immediately the pledge resonated with me. So talking with Danny, we felt that, hey, let's do something with the steel.
So we said, why don't we make a sword out of the steel from 9/11? And just the reverence and the importance of that steel would mean so much more to these servicemen and women.
So that's what we did, and contacted a couple other guys. They did some research, found a swordsmith down in Texas, and it wasn't very long at all. It was a couple months later we had the final product, which was the sword.
We're talking about the same thing that every warfighter joined in this current era is there because of what happened at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon on 9/11. And so we come full circle now by creating a sword out of that tragic event that inspires people to live. That's humbling. That's something that touches your heart. When people touch that sword, it's like connecting with all the souls we lost. People ask me, Boone, what are you going to do with the Spartan Pledge next? I'm just the author. I'm not doing anything with the Spartan Pledge next because it belongs to the community. So the question is, what are you going to do with the Spartan Pledge next? I will not take my own life by my own hand.
I will not take my own life by my own hand.
Until I talk to my battle buddy first.
Until I talk to my battle buddy first.
My mission.
My mission.
Is to find a mission.
Is to find a mission.
To help my warfighter family.
To help my warfighter family.
Boone, thank you for that impactful message. We would encourage everyone to take the Spartan Pledge, but you can only take the Spartan Pledge when you're personally ready. When you're ready to do it with a battle buddy, somebody who's got your back, with somebody who's got your six, with somebody that you can count on, and somebody who can count on you. You don't have to be a veteran. You don't have to be active duty. You just need to be a patriot. You need to be an American who cares for another. It's the heart of what we do at GallantFew. It's the reason that we're here. It's the reason that we're here today. We want to say thank you to our nation's veteran Memorial Museum in Columbus, Ohio. We encourage you to come here to see it. If you can't make it, we encourage you to go online, participate in their programs, seek out their virtual events. We couldn't do this alone at GallantFew. We couldn't do it without the Memorial Museum. We couldn't do it without our speakers. We introduced you today to our team. We're America's veterans team because we know we need other people. We need other parts to make us successful. If you're in transition, find your tribe, find your team. If you need help, let us know. We'll get you there. If you're a veteran and something happened in your transition and you're struggling with your reintegration, let us know. Seek us out. Let us connect you to a tribe. Let us make you feel like part of a team. It's the heart of what we do. Thank you once again to the museum. This is Tony Mayne signing off. Be brave, be bold, be gallant.
So thank you, Tony, and the rest of the team there at GallantFew. You all do amazing work in support of our veterans. I encourage everybody to learn more at GallantFew.org. Next month's Rally Point features Command Sergeant Major retired Mike Hall, the former Command Sergeant Major for Joint Special Operations Command and the International Security Assistance Force in Afghanistan. He's a great speaker and a great warrior. Please join us next Saturday, or the first Saturday of April. Also, check out new on our website. We've got virtual field trips and we've got virtual tours. Those opportunities can be found on our main webpage underneath the education drop-down menu or under the visit menu for group tours. And then lastly, don't suffer in silence. Anytime we were downrange in combat, it was never a fair fight for the enemy. We brought every weapon system to bear to deal with that challenge. Similarly, when you're transitioning, if you've got depression, if you've got suicidal thoughts, if you're wrestling with demons, don't make it a fair fight. Bring those weapon systems that you have to bear, being your friends, your brothers and sisters in arms, and reinforce the power of the team and the networks that we have. Thanks for joining us today. Everybody have a great rest of the weekend and get out and enjoy some of the beautiful sunshine. Thank you.
Wars aren't fought by countries. They're fought by people. Now, hear their stories in their own words. Honor their service in your own way. At the only museum in America that gives a voice to all our veterans. The National Veterans Memorial and Museum. It's more than a museum. It's the new home of the brave.